Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lola and I just graduated from UWC China, and for this video I decided why not share the essays that got me into UWC in the first place. I applied through the Lebanese National Committee around 2 years ago in 2022, and I thought it would be best to share my essays with you guys as you might be starting your application process soon, and if you need any inspiration or advice as to how a UWC applicant essay usually looks like. And so I'm not going to advise you to copy my words word for word. I want you guys to be 100% authentic, 100% you when you are writing your essays. I will make a next video on essay tips in specific, but for this one I just wanted to show you how I wrote my essay, just so you can get some inspiration and some push as to how you would like your essays to look like, or what kind of structure they might be looking for or they might like. And before we begin, if you have any questions, do reach out to me on Instagram. I will put it down below, and if you have any questions you'd like to ask me or if you need my advice, I do respond, and I love chatting with applicants, so if you would like to do so, do feel free to reach out. Again, I have a task for you. I want you to be a UWC selector. So I want you to grade my essays while I'm reading them. What I mean is, take out a pen and paper, or a document, or your eyes and ears, and pretend like you are grading my essay. And so what I want you to do is, whenever I read something that you think works in terms of technique, or style, or how I said something, write that down. Okay, but don't write down what I said word for word. Try and write down the technique I used. So if it was a story, if it was a funny joke, write it down, write down the technique, so that when you look back at this and you want to try and write your essays, you can look over the techniques that work, you can look over the style that works, not exactly things that are word for word as to what I said, but techniques so that you can try and apply them in your own way. All right, so that's our little deal. I want you to do that. And so while I'm reading things, I want you to be my critique. Grade me so that once you write your own essay, you can also grade yourself or give yourself the same type of feedback. All right? All right. It's been a while since I've pulled out this document. This is actually the document I explained in my other video. It's the tips and tricks document, and it has all of my drafts. It has all of the essays I wrote in the past, and so I'm actually looking at it right now, and it's giving me so many memories. So I hope that when you guys do this and look back at your own document, that you're gonna have this sort of epiphany of nostalgia or something. But wow, it's been a while, so it's good to look at it. So yes. All right, so I think the first question, or the way my NC formatted their essay questions, was we had a few short answer questions and then we had a few long answer questions. So we had a lot of essays. And I really liked the essays because they allowed me to be very creative. And so what I'm going to show you guys is kind of like my creative response. I like to take something more lighthearted when I write something. I'm not too serious, so I might be pretty different to how other people write their essays, so I recommend you watch other people's videos to see how they write their essays. But I like to be a bit more lighthearted, a bit, a bit more sweet with how I write things. So I finally found my drafts. Took me a while to find them, but the first question is, how would your friends and family describe you? So this is it. On the day that I saw this question, I told myself that the best approach to this prompt was by actually asking my friends and family how they see me. My parents would describe my character as joyful and optimistic, as I'm always committed to helping others and lightening up the area I am in. I can also be conveyed as a responsible and self-reliant person. This is due to my ability to take care of myself mentally and academically, allowing me to approach others positively and respectfully. Like one of those tiny Japanese cars one may see in old films, my friends from camp consider my personality to be reliable and honest, as well as a cute and small demeanor. This comparison is mainly due to my genuine and sincere enjoyment of life and the events around me. Lastly, my teachers see me as someone who is driven and motivated to accomplish a task once I've set my mind to it, and I even encourage myself to learn something new along the way. I motivate myself by remembering that what I can accomplish from a task and reminding myself of ways I can input my own personality into my work. So I wasn't too happy with this essay now that I look back and read it. It's cute, but I feel like I could have written better, but honestly, that's my first essay. So you can give me my You can give me my feedback. The next one is describe an activity you engaged in. When I was 4 years old, my mother took me to a music institute and stood me in front of two doors, one containing a pianist and another containing a violinist. She asked me which instrument I would like to begin with, to which I said piano. However, 2 years later, I wanted to give the other door, which was the violin, a shot, which is a decision I do not regret. I always make sure to try and manage my schedule throughout the week by squeezing time to practice while prioritizing studies as well. And fortunately, my interest in the violin helped me travel abroad and attend a camp dedicated to musicians such as myself for me to improve my skills and meet like-minded people who share the same love for music. I do not consider myself a professional violinist yet, since I still have a lot to learn, which makes me enjoy and appreciate the journey that will lead me to that dream even more. These trips give me a chance to focus on my hobby, which reminds me of why I chose the violin, and also that music can truly change someone for the better. I like this essay. My last short essay is talk about your leadership skills. So what I wrote was, throughout my life, I was given opportunities in which I was able to showcase and build my leadership skills. For example, I was born into my family as a middle child, and so I would try my best to regulate situations between my older sister and my younger brother. I would also attempt to become a second parent and care for my younger brother whenever my parents were abroad. Other than that, I made sure to try out for any leadership position that opened up in school. For example, I joined my school's Leadership, Diversity, and Civic Engagement Center, in which they give workshops and training sessions in order to develop the inner leader found in every student. Through them, I began volunteering with a student-led NGO, which aims to provide sustainable energy to public schools through bicycles. Lastly, I went through elections and became the class leader of my class, in which I represented my classmates to the best of my abilities during meetings with teachers and faculty. This title and my positive reputation led to me being chosen to attend a meeting with the chairman of my school's board of trustees. So this was also pretty short, but also pretty nice. And now let's move on to the bigger essays. So the next question is, if you had a magic wand, what is one thing you would change about Lebanon and why? So what I wrote is, my childhood is an aspect of life that I am incredibly grateful for. I learned how to read, write, and express myself, and had the privilege of traveling abroad and discovering the world around me. Unfortunately, despite having supportive and loving parents, I do live in a country where equality is far from reach. I may be fortunate, but the majority of my nation's population is not, which is an issue I cannot ignore. According to an article published in the Middle East Monitor, 700,000 out of 2 million kids are out of school in Lebanon. Due to the COVID pandemic and the resulting economic crisis, children in Lebanon are being stripped from their right to quality education, mainly due to schools closing down or tuitions being too expensive. The public education system in Lebanon is currently not serving the children justice, as they are mostly missing books, supplies, and even teachers due to the lack of funding from the government. Moreover, most families are unable to send their children to school due to the inflation and the stagnation of wages in Lebanon. Young boys can end up working in child labor, often out of choice to help cover their parents' costs. Little girls do get married off to richer families by their parents as well, in an attempt to provide them with a better life. Overall, the majority of children in Lebanon are barred from the opportunity to discover and experience the childhood they are entitled to have. If I were to have a magic wand, I would ensure that every child in Lebanon receives a quality education, in which they are given a chance to learn, evolve, and flourish. Flying paintbrushes can be seen fluttering across public schools and providing the walls with a fresh coat of paint. An assortment of children's books would reign over public libraries. Chairs and desks will be waddling over walking to classrooms, but must leave room for the beanbags and art supplies to fit. And then teachers would glide down to school in their magical umbrellas and teach students the ways of life. Therefore, children would be able to walk into school with a smile on their faces and hope in their eyes. They will be able to use the new resources and thrive into the young innovators they were born to be. However, a wand is merely a tool for the magician's will and ability. As citizens of Lebanon, we must advocate and aim for change. An individual's thoughts alone cannot change a country's ongoing issues, but a person's drive to ensure growth can inspire others and has the potential to truly make an impact. Together, those living in better conditions can fund, donate, or even volunteer to exercise the ability to help the people, which are our people. So this was also a nice one. So this essay question is, if you were to create a 1-month short course about anything, what would you do? So this is what I wrote. It's pretty long. It's 500 words, so bear with me. In drama class, I was given the assignment to improvise a story about a random postcard and describe the setting in which the photo was taken in. I decided to tell a story of a lady sitting alone in a cafe, looking at people walking by. I depicted her contemplating the stories behind every facial expression and admiring the beauty of those around her. Walking off stage, I realized how much I had stunned myself with the amount of interest I showed while I was speaking. So, why not share it with others in the form of a class? So, as a 1 month course project, I would like to emphasize the importance of coexistence and the hidden beauty behind every person, which is why I chose to call it the art of people. This is due to my belief that every person was made to perfection by a miniature person. This is the root of the belief that we should embrace the beauty behind every voice, idea, and dream. A part of life is about cooperatively existing amongst different people from different walks of life. The main aim behind the lesson is for students to embrace others and hidden parts of themselves as well. The course would center on discussions and the exchange of ideas with one another. Moreover, the discussions would be enriched with a variety of topics such as the importance of diversity, heritage, and perspective. Since we all have different backgrounds, we as global citizens should embrace the unique qualities found in one another. Furthermore, lessons would consist of talking about why differences in perspectives would make a team better. In depth, the class would aim for members to understand each other's backgrounds, talk about each other's origins, and unlock core memories. This way, the people involved would learn that while people around them may seem different, everyone has something in common. This course supports my desire to learn about the world, as it highlights the importance of awareness. So I believe that having this course in Lebanon could be beneficial to all generations. Unfortunately, some people do tend to judge others based on social constructs and stereotypes rather than getting to know each other by who they really are, which is something I hope to change in the future. So this question is the big why UWC question. And so here we go. On August 17th, 2022, my mother briefly spoke to me about her encounter with an old acquaintance. She told me about his daughter, who is currently studying in Italy at the age of 16. My mom then asked me if I were interested in checking out the boarding school, to which I said yes. After understanding what UWC was in terms of values and mission, I knew that not applying would be a missed opportunity. Will I fit in a community where I may not feel belonged? Am I confident enough to tell myself that I'm ready to challenge my abilities? I don't know. The person I am today would not have been possible without multiple factors. Meeting with my parents, who raised me with a great exposure to my own culture, and others, allowing me to grow an extent of awareness and respect towards the environment around me. Followed by my teachers and family members who encouraged me to read, explore, and expand my knowledge, as they saw glimpses of my passion for learning from a very young age. Lastly, as I grew, I strove to learn about the world I am living in, leading to the urge to challenge myself academically and mentally. As I applied, UWC has shown me a society where diversity and coexistence play a key role in its establishment. It sheds light on the importance of accepting each other's differences and using them to beautify one's view of life. An atmosphere of respect and compassion is formed for teams to bond and friendships to form. I believe that this community would benefit from my presence, since I love to question the way the world works. I am someone who strives to leave a positive impact on anyone and everyone I meet. UWC is a school I would benefit from, as I aim to become a part of a group of change makers who want to make their communities a better place. When witnessing issues in Lebanon, I wish to gain the leadership skills offered and pursue creative projects that allow me to push for development. I aim to return to Beirut and use the skills I learned at UWC to make it a fairer place. I want to share the beauties of my country with the rest of the world and show them that Lebanon is a culturally unique place that I am proud to call my home. Seeing the upcoming years as crucial for life, I want to be able to write my own future. I see myself as an author throughout her life who is currently gathering souvenirs and lessons to include in her future stories. Tomorrow is a blank page, which gives me the chance to make the most out of the empty spaces and fill them up with memories I choose to create. To answer the previously mentioned questions, am I ready? Well, my answer is that I will definitely miss my grandmother's cooking and the life in the arms of my family, but yes, I am ready. So that was my response to that question. So last one, this one's really important, I feel. It is describe an incident or time when you took initiative in the face of challenge, but that did not work out the way you expected. What actions did you take and what did you learn? So what I wrote is, I would like to take advantage of this opportunity to explain the last few years of my life. In the time of 7th and 8th grade, during the COVID epidemic, I was confined at home. which led to a major decline in my mental health and my motivation for school, which inevitably decreased my grades. Additionally, I was in a program I was not fit for given its reliance on memorization in opposed to conceptual comprehension. Last year, the in-person school phase began again, yet many COVID measures were still implemented. Early on, I was not determined enough to improve my grades, mainly because I had careless behaviors towards studies that were developed during the pandemic. The lack of drive became very clear once my exam grades were released one after the other. The low scores truly never made me feel proud of myself, but what was worse was my parents' reactions, as they made me feel like their smart little daughter that existed before COVID was no longer there. Thus, I wanted to receive higher scores to make myself feel better again, yet the last 2 years at home were very fundamental for ninth grade, as the information would be gained and developed throughout the years. I did not have a strong foundation, so trying to bounce back was harder than I thought. Moreover, my grades were not improving throughout the year, as I was facing peaks and valleys in grades due to my gaps in certain subjects. However, if I were to take the time to reflect on my character last year, I would realize that I was in denial. I was in denial about how I was dealing with my ongoing issue, as I was not fully committed to improving myself. I would not study, and I would not let my parents know when I needed tutoring. I was giving up, and I was allowing myself to fail again. But at the end of the year, I asked for tutoring to try and fight once more. Unfortunately, my attempts did not lead to the promising results I had hoped for, yet again due to my lack of foundation. Yet, this setback made me realize that I am capable of bouncing back and being stronger than before. I wanted to regain my motivation once more and start the next year with a fresh mindset and a new direction towards my future. I formed an agreement with my parents, which said that if I switched from my current program to a different educating program the following year, then my grades would improve. So during the summer, I began consulting with tutors in preparation for the new curriculum and regaining the self-confidence I once had towards my potential. I am now in the 10th grade with a newly optimistic attitude, finally receiving the marks I believe accurately reflect my intelligence and facilitate my desire for education and growth. Thank you so much for watching. Those were my essays, and I hope you were able to write down all the feedback you gave my essays and all the techniques you think worked or didn't really work in my essays. And so hopefully once you begin with your essay process, you get to look back at this and try and apply similar techniques or similar styles as to how I did, or see if you would like to implement other styles from other people's YouTube videos. But as I know, this is my application process and yours might be different, your essay style might be different, and that's completely okay. This is just me sharing how I would write things and just giving you or showing you some techniques that I had within my writing that I feel like made sense. And I will definitely be making a video soon about specific essay tips, but for now, those are my essays, and if you have any questions, do leave them down in the comments, like, and subscribe, just so you can stay tuned for my next application tip videos. And until then, I wish you all an amazing rest of your day and a great UWC journey. See you all!